The Bundesliga is back. It's the first of the major leagues to return, and it's coming up this weekend. It will no doubt attract a number of new fans as well. Just a reminder of the table before we get into a good prediction of how things will turn out this weekend. And it is Bayern Munich on top with a 4-point advantage over Borussia Dortmund. But then beneath that, it's pretty tight, just 4 points separating second place from fifth. And then you look at the likes of the Bayer Leverkusen, and they are pushing for a Champions League spot as well. One man who always keeps his eye across the European leagues is Danny Higginbotham. He's joining me now as we take a look at what could happen on Matchday 26. And it comes back with a bang, Danny, because it's the Revierderby. It's Borussia Dortmund against Schalke. That man, Erling Haaland, was taking all the headlines before that play stopped in football across the leagues. Do you see him making his mark in this first derby for him?
It will be an interesting one because there's a lot of history between the two clubs. As you've quite rightly said, it's a derby match. But you know, Haaland, he's just hit the ground running. It's been absolutely incredible, whether it be goals, whether it be assists. You know, it's not worried him in the slightest. The fact of, obviously, you know, the pressure's been on him. He seemed to really taken it on his shoulders and been absolutely delighted with it. So, you know, it's going to be a really good game. I think when you look at Dortmund, they've got the likes of Witsel and Chan, who are both going to be out, which, you know, it would be seen as an issue. Royce out as well. And I think one of the things is as well, when you look at these two games, you know, Schalke, they won in Dortmund last season, haven't lost the last 3 games there. I think they like I say, they won their game last year. There was 2 draws. And I think it's going to be a tough game for Dortmund. So, you know, I think looking at the way that Schalke have performed in recent seasons at Dortmund, I'm actually going to go for a draw in this one.
That's interesting as well, especially when you look with Dortmund, because they've been so strong at home. I think they're the only team in the Bundesliga that haven't lost at home this season. But that's got to change things, even if you are in your home ground, not having that home support behind you.
Yeah, 100%. We know what the atmosphere is like at Dortmund, and I think, you know, when people always say that, yes, okay, you know, you've got the home advantage, to a certain extent, you still have the home advantage because, you know, you've got something that you're used to, you know, turning up at your stadium. But fans do make such a big difference. You know, for myself, when I was playing at home, you always had that little bit of an extra buzz, and people always used to say, well, it's the 12th man. But that's going to be taken out of consideration. And I think it's all about, you know, we look at players and there are fantastic players playing in the Bundesliga, but it's all about how they take this challenge on mentally as well. Because, you know, the thing is, you're playing in front of an empty stadium. It's hard to get your head around, you know, the significance of the game and how big the game is. So like I say, it's all about how the players approach it on the mental side of things.
Yeah, third in the table is RB Leipzig. They're against the surprise side this season in Freiburg. Strong at both ends of the pitch, though, so far from what we've seen by Leipzig. How do you see this one turning out?
Well, Leipzig now going obviously into the games, the break will have done them a world of good because they've had some key players that have been out injured. So, you know, they've had time to now come back training. They're back involved. The captain's back, which I think is a huge boost for them as well. I think when you look at Freiburg, you know, they did win the reverse fixture, but I'd be very surprised, very, very surprised if they were able to get anything against Leipzig, because we know the way that Leipzig play. They're fast. They play on the front foot, and no matter who they play against, they will cause problems. And I'm going for a Leipzig win. Okay,
next up, it's Frankfurt against Borussia Monchengladbach. Borussia Monchengladbach are enjoying quite the season themselves, just a point behind Leipzig in 4th. How do you see this one?
Well, if you look at Frankfurt, their home form is absolutely phenomenal. You know, the way that they've been performing, you know, they've won at home to Bayern Munich. They beat them 5-1. They beat Leipzig 3-0. And they also drew with Dortmund. So, you know, they seem to like it when the so-called bigger teams come to them, enables them to play on the counter-attack. They recently changed their system, which seems to benefit them. And I'm fully expecting them to look to play on the counter-attack, to sit back, allow, you know, the opposition onto them, and then see if they can go over them, because they do have pace in the team, which can cause all types of problems on the counter-attack. So I am going to go for a home win in this game, just based on what Frankfurt have done against the big clubs recently.
Okay, so there's one of the surprises from you so far in this one. What about the next one, though? Union Berlin against Bayern Munich. Bayern leading the table right now. Now, they've been so strong before the play stopped in 2020, but we did see some early season stumbles from them. Do you think the break came at a bad time for them?
I think that it did, but I think what you've also got to look at is, you know, the new coach, Hansi Flick, he's came in and he's revitalised the whole team. You know, Thomas Muller now just playing behind Lewandowski has just been completely, just looks a different player now, just been absolutely revitalised. And I think when you look at Kimmich, you look at Thiago in midfield and Lewandowski, the main man, it's going to be very, very tough for Union Berlin. And what didn't help their cause was Urs Fischer, their coach. He actually left their quarantine training setup for private matters. So it'll be interesting to see whether he's back. But I can't see anything other than a Bayern Munich victory.
Contrasting fortunes for the next and the last matchup that I'm going to put to you. It's Werder Bremen, who are down in the drop zone, against Bayer Leverkusen, who are pushing to try and get a Champions League finish this season. It's been probably their strongest season in almost a decade. What happens here?
Well, I think you have to look a little bit deeper, I think, with Werder Bremen, because one of the things is they do feel a little bit hard done to, because they actually weren't able to start training until a week after the rest of the Bundesliga teams because of the lockdown and what have you. So there was a few complaints there, and they wanted the season to wait another week so they could get up to scratch. So I think that could definitely go against them. They do have, an eye-catching in Milo Rashica, if that's how you pronounce it. He is their main creator. He will look to create from deep. And they'll be hoping to cause a few problems for Leverkusen. But Leverkusen are an interesting team because they're very much a possession-based team, but they're also the hardest working team in the Bundesliga. So it makes for a really interesting matchup. But I just think the extra week's training is just going to work in Leverkusen's favour. So I'm going to go for a Leverkusen victory.
Nice stuff. Thanks so much, Danny. Yes, the Bundesliga is back. There are 9 rounds remaining, still plenty to play for. And no doubt the world will be watching once it returns this weekend.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.